Excuse me, Mr. Fern. Mr. Fern. Mr. Craig Fern.
This is it! This is gonna get our family out of the gutter and into the butter, baby.
Excuse me, Mr. Fern.
Here, Yakkity, that's my boy.
Look, you're gonna need some serious luck if you're even thinking about paying back this loan.
Luck? I don't need luck, you jabroni. Craig Fern doesn't need luck. He's got statistics on his side. Get it? Ooh. Almost money time. I mean, showtime. Oh man, this anticipation is killing me. I got like a runner's high. Money, 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 money.
Ugh. Could you keep it down? Long day at the fire department. Before you do, would you happen to know where the remote has gotten off to? I'd rather not watch this show.
I think you're gonna feel different about the yak in this game show after this episode.
Mm-hmm. And about the remote.
I just can't contain it, Anne.
The remote?
My excitement!
Have you even tried?
Anne, this kid, let me tell you, this kid, he's been winning every single night.
So what? Maybe it's a fluke.
Maybe he's a modern-day Galileo of trivia?
Does that mean that he's right about a lot, but doesn't quite understand how the tides work?
No, it means the kid's a whiz.
Is this in relation to the remote, or the bet that you didn't mention to me?
Watch.
Sorry, but no siree, Bob the horn-honking clown says you're wrong, Professor Crazy Hair. Champ?
That's an easy one, Glib. The answer is... give me a sec. Muskmelon. You sure? The answer is... muskmelon.
Listen, Ann, Norman's hit big 3 times in the past week, betting huge on that kid. I've had to sit and watch him. No, we've had to sit and watch him dilly-dally, procrastinate, put off, and utterly ignore landfills of cash. He's living alone. What does he need the money for? Most of his kind is extinct. He's a yak. It's time for me to take my piece of the money-making yak pie. It's our time, Ann.
I get that, Craig.
Besides, we're the ones with another kid on the way, not him. Another beautiful pineapple child.
Perhaps you could have informed me, lucky Mr. Craig Fern, that you invested our entire life savings on a bet before you went and did it. Perhaps you could have informed me that you were going to risk our entire life savings on a yak.
Just watch, Anne. It'll all work out.
You're always doing stuff like this, so it better work out. Because if you're wrong, your access to uncut gems and shows with yaks in them won't be the only thing I'm taking from you.
What? Taking my shows away from me? You didn't even give me a warning.
It's clearly giving you bad ideas.
Well, I know something that'll cheer you up. I went to the trouble of picking up a portrait that cost a couple of grand in honor of the yakster.
You did what? How is that supposed to cheer me up?
If you're not getting it now, you'll definitely get it when you see how sweet it looks in our future mansion. I would have asked for permission with some of the purchases, but the surprise on your face always gets me so excited.
So, that was weird. Anyway, hello and welcome. Does this song sound at all familiar? If it didn't, you're just like me, because I had no idea what this song was. I figured it was just some vague memory associated with this even vaguer cartoon.
Shouldn't you stay off the line so Granny can reach you?
That's when I found out that this was a certified classic.
This is a certified hood classic.
A song written, produced, and arranged by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller for the group known as The Coasters. Not only was it a catchy tune, it shaped our culture, the history of rock and roll, and even made it into movies.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrap that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakkity yak.
Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakkity yak.
Don't go back.
You unfortunately can't say the same for the staying power of the show Yakkity Yak, created by Mark Gravas, an incredibly talented creator and director who not only worked on this show, but he co-owns a media production company based in Sydney, Australia called Kapow Pictures with his partner. The company has been involved in the creation of shows such as CJ the DJ, Casper Scare School the movie. I covered a small portion of the television series in another video on my channel, if you want to check that out. Their reach isn't limited to just serialized cartoons or films though. The company also works with shorts for commercials. They even have a short that was created in partnership with ABC Australia, and a multitude of other short projects showcasing a variety of styles and color palettes.
Hola bandidos! Time to recharge your batteries at Casa de Evil! The only 5-star island resort especially for supervillanos! Now at Casa de Evil! Exciting mini-moto Grand Prix! Start your engines! Ooh, watch out for Dead Man's Curve!
However, it does look like Mark Rivas had his hand in the directing of Mariah Carey's Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and some sins aren't forgivable. Ew. But what I'm here to discuss with you all is an episode of one of Rivas' most recognizable works, Yakkity Yak.
Don't go back.
It's a peculiar show, and you'll probably not even guess the premise of it based on the title card. Go ahead, give it a try. Did you guess a yak pursuing a career to become a comedian while he has misadventures with his pineapple-headed friend?
Yes, I did that.
Well, if you guessed that correctly, you probably cheated and saw this show before.
But that's not who I really am, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yakkity Yak premiered on November 9th, 2002 and aired episodes up until December 12th of the following year. This show has not been released for streaming services since its demise, which is one of the main reasons why you haven't heard of this show. Now it only lives on in YouTube fragments and in particular corners of the internet. The show was a combination of Australian and Canadian efforts and was aired on Nickelodeon. Those efforts were incredibly successful because the show managed to get some legendary voice actors onto the roster, featuring probably the most iconic voice of them all, Andrea Libman, who primarily voices Lemony. But she's gone on to perform in a variety of animated projects such as My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, Roll in the animated Mega Man series, Chi-Chi in Dragon Ball, and was also a part of the reboot of Pac-Man.
The pack is back, goes chomping at his feet. Hack's our hero, Pack just can't be beat, yeah.
We also have Brian Drummond playing Keo the Pineapple Boy, with the actor mostly known for playing Knuckles in the Sonic series, Vegeta in the Dragon Ball Z dub, and Streaky from Crypto the Superdog. What can't he do?
They call me Knuckles, unlike Sonic I don't chuckle. I'd rather flex my muscles.
There's also Michael Dangerfield, who plays Keo's father. Dangerfield has played Lego Han Solo in the Yoda Chronicles, Ace Ventura in the cartoon version, apparently there was a cartoon version, and Superman. There's Brenda M. Critchlow, who plays Wanda in the show. I don't even know who that is, but in addition to voicing her, she's taken on the roles of Zecora and Amethyst Star in My Little Pony. Is there a pipeline from Yakkity Yak to the MLP series here? She's also played the part of the Sunfire Queen in the Netflix show The Dragon Prince. I obviously could go on about the various talented voice actors a part of this, but that's why you have internet access as well. As you can guess by the short run of this show, it wasn't received as well as the competition at the time and didn't last. I truly didn't remember this show till I saw it amongst the other shows I barely remembered. I found myself rewatching this show recently to see if the episodes had some magic in them that was glanced over due to the time of its release, or if it was a dud that was lucky to be released. What I found will need to be discussed in several episodes, because there are a few weird, bad, underwhelming, underutilized, and genuinely good episodes in here that need to be shown again. One such being the very second episode that was aired. Today, we're gonna see what happens when you let fear, ego, and idiocy get the better of an exceptionally bright young pineapple, and how a Nimrod yak can ruin everything. But first, the characters. So, who are these people? Why are these people? And why are there pineapple people? Should I call them Pinal people?
What the hell is even that?
Anyway, starting with Yakkity. Yeah, creative name. Yakkity is a young comedian trying to make his way up the ranks in the town of Onion Falls. Good luck with that. He is the only yak in town aside from his grandmother who he lives with, cause they're an endangered species if you didn't know.
I may be fur-bearing and hooved, but I'm as human as the next talking yak.
We never see his mother or father, so we should just assume he doesn't have either. I promise you they'd want it that way. Would you want people to know that you gave birth to this?
Look at the top of his head!
Also, that coat of fur on Yakkity is like a suit or a jacket. He can just take it off whenever he wants. Kinda convenient and horrifying. Don't try that on real yaks. Yakkity tends to come up with big ideas with a lot of pizzazz, ideas that could lead to a lot of injury, embarrassment, and nausea. Awful combination.
That's no good.
However, he always manages to convince at least one thing to tag along, that thing being Kyo, this anthropomorphic pineapple. Kyo is Yakkity's best friend. He's terrified of public speaking, but he has some pretty smart things to say.
During the Battle of Onion Falls, what general said...
I shall return with onions, General Douglas P. McOnion.
Kyo's intelligent, nerdy, and is down bad for a girl who isn't that into him yet. Keep going, Kyo, she's definitely going to notice you one day. Just hold on.
I'm sorry, Yakkity, but she tricked me with her girlish wiles. Wild smile.
Kyo lives right next door to Yakkity, so they barely have any time away from each other, whether at school or at home. The dynamic that they're going for with these two is Yakkity as the ambitious dreamer, the doer, the action hero funny man, while Kyo plays the brains, the strategist, and the accountant. The chemistry of this dynamic duo is going to be the main focus of this episode today. It centers on how these characteristics prove that Yakkity and Kyo can work incredibly well together, but due to foolish decisions and dysfunction, that union easily deteriorates.
I'm the brains. And I'm the personality. Maybe I don't need brains.
Sometimes making business work with your closest companions is tough. We all know how hard it is to navigate the nuances of friendship and firing, acquaintances and acquisitions, companionship and corporate bribery. That's even harder when one is a yak. Also, paired in this friend group is Lemony. Lemony is the kindest member of the group when she wants to be.
Wild smiles.
Despite her sour-sounding name, Lemony is called Lemony for her yellow hair. Her real name is but she puts out a cease and desist on anyone who dares to say that. She also is the smartest member of the group, and would be the latest victim of the Smurfette principle, but she's also accompanied by Penelope. Penelope is the robot of their friendship gang, the bender to their Leela and Fry.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
She was actually created by Dr. Crazy Hair, what another creative name, the scientist of Onion Falls who also teaches some classes at the local school.
Shish! I'm so sweaty my crazy hair has lost its crazy!
His hair is ever changing, and the reason he created this child robot was to have an assistant.
Anti-pet policy understood. Begin corrective procedures now.
How far do you guys think we are from people being able to actually have a lifelike robotic assistant that attends school with the flashies? I give it 45 more years. She's obviously the most interesting of the group, though she doesn't have a lot of screen time. Usually Penelope is there to balance out the boy-girl ratio. Then there's Granny Yak, who is an angel. Well, she's a yak, but you get it.
You must be hungry. I can hear your belly rumbling from here. I just wanted to make sure you were okay.
She's down to earth and loves her grandson despite the hell he puts her through. She even joins an assembly line to help with his fashion brand at one point. That being said, she often riles him up to pursue the crazy shenanigans or schemes for fame he has in mind.
You know, my Yakkity's got quite a head between those antlers, too.
Hey! A little help, somebody? I was trying to reach a candy.
This attitude of hers is one of the reasons yaks are going to go extinct. They're just too encouraging of their grandson's dreams.
Stop it. Get some help.
And turns out, according to the wiki, Yakkity works as a school mascot since his grandfather also served as a mascot when the rugby team won the state championship in 1925. The rugby team, instead of the mascot, got all the glory despite having not won a match since 1925, much to Yakkity's distaste.
Hey, Yak! Moo! Yeah, real funny. Oh no!
Well, with all of these characters, we cannot forget about Trillo. Trillo is the only entertainment manager in Onion Falls, and seems to provide work for both Yakkity and Chuck Damage, who does puppet shows for parties.
A three-legged dog limps into a saloon and says, "I'm looking for the man who shot my paw."
Trillo actually used to be an entertainer himself, doing children's parties and performing, but he's out of the business and into the real one, signing on other people to make money off of their talent. Works every time, except for a place like Onion Falls where everyone stinks.
What are you
Zip
doing?
it! Those little brats try to make a pie out of me. That's the last time I fill in for you! Yuck!
But let's take a visit to this awful, atrocious abode as we stumble onto episode 2A, The Yak in the Hat, storyboarded by Daniel Foley and Mike Czar, written by Steven Sullivan and Paul Greenberg, and lastly directed by Mark Rivas and Jay Falconer. So we open up on Yakkity and Keo in class. Keo is killing it. He's answering every question the teacher throws at him. I mean, he's definitely getting a higher participation grade than the kids literally sleeping in class.
Who was the first mayor of Onion Falls?
But the way this educator speaks, you would think he was a hypno holding a swinging pocket watch.
Who was the first mayor of Onion Falls?
I can't really blame those kids too much for getting drowsy. If I was getting destroyed by the kid with the pineapple head, I'd probably just sleep through class too. He's taking all the A's anyway. Yakkity is so uninterested in whatever questions this guy is asking that he starts to doze off, seeing his life in the most ideal light. I knew this was fiction, but this is really fiction.
Mr. Yak, a few questions. Ask away, sweetheart.
What the hell is even that?
Yakkity, on the other hand, is both tired and fed up with being shown up. We then get the teacher directly calling out Yakkity. Here's his chance to shine.
4:17 p.m., sir.
Correct.
Come on, man. You're supposed to be fostering a comfortable learning environment, not constructing more needless competition than capitalism.
Yakkity, why can't you be more like Keo?
That night, the two students go over to Yakkity's, where Grandma is knitting and Keo's father is focused on the TV. And even here, Keo is figuring out the questions before the idiots in the room can attempt to try to solve it.
What is the correct formula for calculating speed?
Distance divided by time.
Uh-oh, no siree Bob, the horn-honking clown says time's up!
Even his dad sees the talent Keo has. And that's amazing because most fruit fathers neglect their children. It's a highly underreported phenomenon.
The correct answer is distance divided by time. Huh!
Granny tries to show her faith in Yakkity, but he doesn't back it up as well.
I was trying to reach a candy.
Yakkity, more like Tackity. After being assisted by Keo, Yakkity doubles down on what Keo's father was saying.
You know, your dad's right. You ought to try out for that show.
At first, Keo rejects this because of the location, but then this happens.
Who wants to win a bunch of money will be coming to you from Onion Falls next week.
So it's all working out. The Keo family is going to move out of Onion Falls and into a neighborhood that's named after something that smells and tastes better. Turnip Townsville, Beetroot Ballpark, Sesame Seed Cul-de-sac. All the S's in that last one will be changed to C's for alliteration and quirkiness purposes. Yakkity lists all the benefits of the changed locale, but all Keo hears are cons.
I can't do it. Don't you remember what happened when I won the school history contest?
That's when he keys us in on this little flashback.
I'd like to accept this award on behalf of Keo, who's currently quivering with stage fright in a toilet stall. But if he were here, I know he'd want to thank you all with 5 minutes of rock'em sock'em stand-up comedy.
Do you guys also think it's fucked up that they start throwing non-sentient fruit at Yakkity when Keo's father was right there? In the present, Keo's father makes jokes about Yakkity's failed attempt at comedy, and because of this, he finds himself evicted from the premises.
My grandson in my house, mister. You're out of here.
Hello? I got no legs!
Look, Grandma, you're gonna need to have a thicker coat of fur if your grandson is gonna be a comedian. You can't kick out everyone who talks about him. He's not very funny, but he is very loud. Not always the best combo for an up-and-coming professional in his line of work, although he'd fit right in with conservative comedians ranting about cancel culture still. Who am I kidding? Those guys are so unfunny they make Yakkity look like George Carlin.
When the news comes on,
Dr. Fauci's on! Dr. Fauci's on! I'm gonna fucking shoot up a Walmart!
So, Yakkity and Keo think of a way to scam the game show using
Your know-it-all knocking with my complete inability to feel shame in front of others.
That's when Keo figures it out. Good thinking, because Yakkity was just gonna keep naming attributes they both shared until Keo found a resolution. You're orange, I'm a mammal, you're spiked, I'm soft. At the next recording of the show, we see Mr. High Pants face off against Yakkity, who is now in a big hat. And of course, the first question he's asked is regarding the hat. I would be inquiring about that too, like how did you find the shiny version of the Cat in the Hat's headwear? Back at home, Grandma and Keo's father are watching the performance, both just now noticing who exactly is on the screen.
Get a load of that goofball in the ugly hat.
That happens to be my hat. And my goofball.
First question goes to Yakkity.
This is gonna be embarrassing. Turn it up.
The game show goes well, and we all know why.
Your know-it-all knocking.
Somehow, no one notices the squirming hat and the weird mumbles coming from it.
Interesting question, Glib.
Electron.
Hope you don't mind if I think out loud. Of course, sometimes I have to ask myself to think a little louder.
Perhaps the aroma of onion has dulled the senses of this meager town, leaving them oblivious to the obvious. It's like the effects of lead in the States. Besides, who could be focused on how sketchy the contestant is? When you watch these game shows, I'm just hoping someone wins. Every time I tune in, I see someone get close to winning the grand prize, only to get annihilated by the end. We need some goddamn justice in this game show system.
Do you think you're a good person?
Honestly, I think I am a good person.
So your answer is?
Yes.
Stop the cap.
False.
The next day, Yakkity and Keo are walking around the school while contemplating their soon-to-be victory. That's when the public spots them and congratulate Yakkity on a job well done. Yakkity, being the modest mammal he is quick to give some of the spotlight to Keo, but luckily Keo actually notices the glaring downside to sharing that spotlight.
You were incredible on TV last night, Yakkity.
Well, I couldn't have done it without my best friend, Keanu. The lucky cap. He brought me a plethora of luck.
Wow, you sound smarter than Keo.
The next day, the competition continues, and Grandma is in full Yakkity support gear. She didn't hesitate a moment to get these made and launched on Teespring. I'd be losing my mind a little, and in the midst of deep regret if I was Keo's father. The kid you thought was as done as a non-human language talking yak was actually more brilliant than your son. To make matters worse, this yak is now going to make a stack and a half on a game show. Also, you made fun of his jokes. He's not sharing that with you. He's not sharing a buck with you. You're burned, like the bridge you burned when you insulted a very talented and intelligent comedian. Also, how didn't Professor Crazy Hair know the answer to what fruit constantly gets mistaken for a cantaloupe?
Muskmelon. You sure? The answer is muskmelon.
Everyone knows that. At school, after the latest game show domination on TV, the worst educator in the country asked the class a question, but Keo alley-oops the opportunity over to Yakkity.
Now for our pop quiz. Who can explain the meaning of life?
Who offers this answer.
Gee, I don't know.
He's fired.
You're fired!
He's done.
You're finished.
What a brilliant answer.
Stop the
A
cap.
true genius is always willing to admit what he doesn't know.
In that case, I'm one brainy dude.
See? Even the teacher gets it. Yakkity is on a fast track to payday. You don't want to upset him if you want a little cash too. You want to boost him as much as you can, even if it means altering and fudging a few grades. It's not called pandering, lying, or patronizing. It's called strategy. Keo sits on the steps when Yakkity comes through with a huge truck. Turns out this is the
share of the winnings.
Told you the payday was coming. Let's see how much they really got.
Cheese? Not just cheese, discounted cheese.
No, Yakkity, you didn't.
See, as I was leaving the bank with our winnings, I was approached by a very naive dairy products wholesaler who I got the best of by shrewdly trading our mere cash for this truckload of Gouda.
I wouldn't even trust a cheese salesman in a Velveeta processing facility. You traded some cheddar for
Gouda.
Are you sure you weren't talking to a living piece of Swiss cheese? Because any salesman in an alleyway is gonna have a few holes in his sales pitch. Keo is obviously furious because
I'm the brains.
Yakkity has this as a rebuttal.
And I'm the personality. Maybe I don't need brains. Maybe I don't need brains.
Then maybe you should figure out what you're gonna do with 3 tons of melting cheese.
We better win tomorrow. We're gonna need to buy a lot of crackers.
Be careful with your language, sir. This is a G-rated cartoon.
There won't be a tomorrow for you. Your brain just quit.
Yakkity returns to the show with a slightly different hat. Now it's not just awful to look at, but it smells bad too. Just like Yakkity.
What's that new cologne you're wearing, Yakkity?
I don't know what you mean, Glib. It's not like I'm wearing cheese under my hat.
And we all know the old saying, right? You are the hat that you wear. In a turn of events, the challenger of this week is actually Keo is facing his fear of public speaking to put Yakkity in his place finally. All that without a silly hat. Oh wait, he is wearing one. Right, that's his head. The two face off, and obviously Keo has the facts, but not the speed or courage to answer. Yakkity has nothing. Looks like knowing information and staying in school has some benefits. Who would have guessed? The entire event is like this, as they both fail to answer a single question right.
Spotlight's on you, Kyo! Okay, let's try an easier one. The solid state of water is called...
Cheese?
When we inhale, we breathe...
Cheese?
Can you imagine how awful it would be to watch this? Nothing happens, round after round, and every time each of them attempts to get closer to the goal, they either chicken out or flat out fail. It's basically like watching people who are bad at golf. Now it's time for a commercial break, and the two former co-workers begin arguing.
Well, I hope you're happy. You're making me look like a fool.
You're wearing a hat full of cheese? You are a fool.
A sneaky cameraman waddles in to catch some of the action.
Kyo, the red light's back on. Stage fright, remember?
Hey!
That's when Kyo fumbles the bag, and does what so many rappers tend to do in their music. He tells on himself.
I was the one hiding in your hat giving you all the answers! What's that red light mean?
Announcing on live television the scam they tried to pull, they were literally caught in 4K, or whatever the equivalent to 4K was in 2002.
It means, Mr. and Mrs. Viewing Public, that a fraud has been perpetrated on this great institution of quizzery by these two game show charlatans.
So because of this, the two have to pay back the studio for all the winnings. That's definitely going to be a problem.
Cheese? Not just cheese, discounted cheese.
But in exchange, they'll actually now be forced to participate in various reality TV shows for the network whenever they need them. So that means the weirdest, the strangest, the ugliest, most awful shows that no one wants to audition to, these guys will be on it. They're gonna be there as network plants, casted for the sole purpose of causing drama and not getting paid while doing it, not to mention they're only children. I mean, that's a slap in the face to federal child labor laws, but I mean, TV never really cared about that. This whole thing is basically debt peonage, but slightly more ethical. And could be worse. It could have been a show on the Learning Channel. So, for a cartoon rivaling others like SpongeBob, Wild Thornberrys, Invader Zim, and The Nick Cannon Show, it definitely didn't outshine these programs. It provided its own unique world, aesthetic, and humor, which feels very disjointed in a sense. The characters feel randomized almost, especially Kyo, his father, and the Yaks. There just aren't many strange creatures like that to add to the show's wackiness. Mr. Highpants, a character we barely discuss, is one of the closest residents to the weirdness of the world, but the strangest thing about him is the height of his pants.
Mr. Highpants! Thanks, Glim. Love your teeth.
I think a show such as Zula Patrol or Amazing World of Gumball handles the variety of weird characters better, giving them some cohesion in their designs, or at least sticking to making the cast as strange and absurd as possible and relishing in that oddness. Seriously, what is Kyo?
I'm the brains!
And how did he come to be?
I don't know.
Kyo's and Yakkity's relationship works well, and this episode exemplifies their weaknesses and their strengths.
Stage fright, remember?
I think the way this episode could have been made stronger is by changing the scene where Kyo shows off his ability to answer questions quickly and correctly in the beginning. Instead of showing a confident Kyo, foreshadow the timidness Kyo has with handling something like this. That way we don't have to rely on random flashbacks to show us that Kyo sucks.
Spotlight's on you, Kyo!
We can even see the first variant of the plan by having Yakkity say the answers out loud for Kyo and giving him the credit because Kyo was too afraid to say the answer himself. In terms of the hijinks that occurred during the episode, I don't mind them. I think it makes sense. I would have liked to see more of the cheese salesman and not have that just randomly dropped in, but the idea of Yakkity failing to do something wise with the money is on brand and very accurate.
We're gonna need to buy a lot of crackers.
This moment worked as the perfect last straw for their friendship at the time. The most unintelligent thing Kyo has ever done is to continue to be friends with Yakkity.
Pineapple puss!
I mean, why keep coming back? Does he have a pineapple for a head? I would have liked to see more of Yakkity feeling the pressure of Kyo's abandonment and being stuck with a hat full of cheese and not a single right answer on a local television station. Name a worse fate. I find it interesting that even though Kyo doesn't have the bravery to throw himself into predicaments where failure and embarrassment are more probable, through Yakkity's brashness, Kyo finds the courage and safety net to put his skills to the test.
If only there was some way to combine your know-it-all noggin with my complete inability to feel shame in front of others.
And when that safety net is gone due to actions of a highly fallible creature,
and I'm the personality,
Kyo's fueled by something stronger than determination. Revenge, the greatest motivator for a positive change. So what did we learn from this episode? Don't team up with your friends, it only leads to bad luck. Don't trust talking animals who try to be comedians. You're an endangered species and you think the safest place for you to pursue a career is on a stage? What do you think happens after a roasting? We learned that building up confidence is something we should aspire towards, because the last thing we want to do is rely on an idiot who benefits from all of our talent and hard work.
not just cheese, discounted cheese.
Man, shut your bitch ass up, nigga.
If you're going to host a parasite, you should at least get a fun one. We learned that TV studios will get back their money, one way or another. Lastly, we learned that to be a good grandmother, we must support our stupid grandchildren in all of their fiendish and foolish endeavors, or let hellfire melt away our bones and cast us into the sea of history. Well, since Yakkity lost, I wonder how that couple is doing. Sucks for them. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, leave a like, and if you didn't, leave a dislike. Be happy, be healthy, be kind to someone. Enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.